I can do what I want when I want to do it. I can do what I need when I need to get through it. When I need someone, can't be too proud for help, but gotta look after myself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what the day is. But it's exactly what you make it. So please don't go wasting. And I'll do the same, even if it's raining. How could I complain? And my feels got me feeling some type of way. You always free to take a break. Hope you feel what I felt. You gotta look after yourself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. Of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what today is.
All right, it is Monday. We are back in the building. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We are about to get into it on this beautiful Monday morning. Some of y'all are saying it's hot. Some of y'all are saying it's raining, like it's raining here. It's going crazy in Atlanta, but we're back at it either way. Welcome, y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the ClassE Morning Show. I'm your host, ClassE Beats, patreon.com/ClassE Beats, and we are going to get into a great show today. We got some news updates with Drake. I told y'all Drake might have a good case, and it looks like the courts are agreeing with him because he's got some documents moving forward that are going to surprise some of you if you haven't heard the news there. We're going to get into it. We'll also talk a little bit about Karen Reed. We're getting close to having a jury selected and finally being able to cover this insane Karen Reed trial. And speaking of trials, we've got TAY coming up as well. We're going to review some of the testimony from that trial later on this afternoon. Day 5 for TAY is starting today as well, so we might get into some of that today. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, I gotta say what's up to the people in here though. Shout out to everybody who's in the building, man. We got the gang in here. Y'all know my awesome amazing Amy is in the building. First thing, showing some love. Shout out to Amy. Les Cleaver's in here. Michi, J Buckmaster, A Fitz, Kara Hampton, Taco Tuesdays in here a day early. We've got Libby22, SC Girl. Dawn is in here as well. What's up? Valencia's in the building. We got a couple of y'all doing super chats too. I'll be reading super chats here shortly. Shout out to Brown Sugar Babe up in the building. Good to see you. We've got the Honorable Attorney Kel Bell. Shout out to all the amazing attorneys that watch the channel and are such a big contribution to what we do here. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for the insight, especially Kel Bell, one of the most consistent attorneys we have here on the channel. So thank you so much. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. If y'all could do me a favor, please make sure you like the video on your way. And I'm gonna beg for likes until I am not on YouTube anymore, because likes are free and it takes less than 2 seconds for you guys to like the video. Not only does it take 2 seconds, but it does help the algorithm know what's going on. It lets the algorithm know that you guys are enjoying the channel, and it shares the video and the channel out with more people. So if y'all could take a second and do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Let me go ahead and get to these super chats, man, and then we'll get started with the content. Shout out to everyone who sent in super chats. We'll be reading super chats throughout the show. We've got Kara Hampton up in here. All right, shout out to Kara with the 2 bomb. She says we are here. Yes, we are. And then we got Michi up in here, said wait for it. I know, I kept y'all waiting over there this morning. Hey, I was trying to get the show together, okay? we got a great show up for y'all today. So it's going to be great. Tay is in here. Mo Matt, good morning to everybody in the building. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Again, if y'all could, I'm going to keep begging for likes unashamedly. Please make sure you like the video. It takes less than 2 seconds. All right. And we've got a great show for y'all. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I've gotten a lot of pushback about what's been going on with Drake and Kendrick Lamar and UMG. Interesting thing is Kendrick Lamar really isn't included in this. Now, Drake is saying that Kendrick Lamar was used by UMG as a tool to diminish his name and his brand, which we've gotten to and covered at length. But now, this battle between Drake and UMG is starting to take an interesting turn because UMG said, hey, Your Honor, Judge Vargas, we don't even want to get into discovery. We don't want to have to let Drake know what's going on. We don't want to have to give up these documents. We don't want to get into the whole back and forth and him finding out certain things we might not want him to know, it being released to the public. But UMG lost that battle, as we saw last week. The judge said, no, y'all are going to have to give up the information. There's not going to be a stay. Let's continue with discovery. So now Drake is actually getting a lot of the things that he wanted when he filed this lawsuit in the first place. And one of the things he got was he got to take a little bit of an inside look into Kendrick Lamar's contract with UMG. All right, we're going to talk about it here in a second. Y'all let me know what you think. Check this out. XXL says Drake gets the court's approval to review Kendrick Lamar's record label contract. Oh, they not going to like this one. What happened? A judge has denied Universal Music Group's motion to halt the process of gathering evidence in Drake's defamation case. And now the rapper will get access to UMG and Kendrick Lamar's contract agreement. Drake gets minor victory in the UMG lawsuit. On Tuesday, April 2nd, U.S. District Judge Jeanette Vargas ruled in favor of Drake being able to access UMG's contracts and internal communications regarding the release of Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us, the song Drake is suing the music company over. It's not necessarily true, but I get what XSL is saying there. The materials include Kendrick Lamar's contract with UMG, documents and communications regarding the decision to publish the defamatory material, also known as Not Like Us, including documents and communication relating to UMG's recent promotional activities surrounding the Grammys and the Super Bowl. Additionally, Drake's lawyers want documents and communication regarding the decision to continue publishing and to promote the defamatory material, documents and communication regarding UMG's knowledge that the allegations in the defamatory material, documents reflecting the revenues and profits UMG has generated and retained as a result of the song, and documents and communications relating to any other works in the past 5 years that UMG has declined to approve or greenlight on the basis of UMG objections to lyrics or other context. So they're about to set the precedent for what they've been saying in this lawsuit, that UMG made a lot of exceptions when it came to pushing Not Like Us. I mean, we saw it here on the channel. If y'all saw the content that we were doing back last May, I was covering constantly the whole beef between Kendrick Lamar. We were going back and forth reviewing the music. And then there was one point that shocked everyone in the content creator space. And that was when UMG, or Kendrick Lamar via UMG, said, hey, you guys promote this song as much as you want to. I know usually when you play music on a live stream, we copyright strike it. Not this time. This time, I'm going to let everybody play this song without copyright, which never, ever happens. But hey, we were so happy. And hey, UMG, thank you for the check on that one. All right. I'm not going to complain. That never happens. I've never seen it in the many years I've been creating content. And if you play 3 seconds of a song that UMG has the rights to, you're getting copyright strike. So that's just one example of what Drake is saying UMG did. Now we're going to get to see all those communications. Another example we talked about was Spotify. Did UMG give Spotify a discount on the licensing to allow them to be able to push this song even more? The same thing we see with iHeartMedia, where there are conversations there, so on and so forth. And now they're going to be able to use these documents to continue to build their case to say, hey, you see, in the past, UMG has not allowed certain songs to even be released because they had issues with it for whatever reason. Now, all of a sudden, not like us, they want to completely go the other direction and say, it's fine. We'll just let the people have it. It's for the culture, right?
Stop the cap.
All right. Both parties have been ordered to submit a proposed case management plan or file a joint letter if they are unable to agree on a discovery schedule by April 9th, which is coming up in a couple days. Now, it is time to see what UMG was so desperately trying to hide, Drake's attorney Mike G said in a statement to XXL about the update. It's very interesting. It'll be very interesting to see what UMG is trying to hide. We all know, if you've been involved in the music industry, we know how this process works. We know how heavily UMG is involved with Spotify and how they use that as a machine to not only get profit for themselves, but to promote the artists that they want to see do well. We're going to see that in Discovery, if it even goes that far. Drake pressures UMG over Not Like Us. After filing 2 pre-action petitions against UMG last November, Drake sued UMG for defamation for distributing Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us in January. The Canadian rap star claims he was defamed on the track, which references him as a child predator. He also claims UMG used payola and bots to artificially inflate the song so execs could pad their pockets with incentives. Just mentioned that. UMG has denied Drake's allegations. Well, that's a mistake, because if we get through this discovery, which I don't think we will, there's going to be a problem, because this is a lot of the allegations we know, if you've been involved in the music industry, they're true, especially when it comes to what goes on between UMG and Spotify, UMG and other companies like iHeartMedia. It is 1000% true what Drake is saying and how this organization is run. In March, they filed a motion asking the judge to dismiss the case. That hearing is coming up on June 30th, by the way. The plaintiff, one of the most successful recording artists of all time, lost a rap battle that he provoked and in which he willingly participated, the motion reads. Instead of accepting the loss like an unbothered rap artist he often claims to be, dang, this is UMG saying this. He has sued his own record label in a misguided attempt to salve his wounds. The plaintiff's complaint is utterly without merit and should be dismissed with prejudice. I'm telling y'all, on June 30th, I will put money on it. Y'all tell me what amount of money you want to bet. I will put money on it that Judge Vargas is not going to dismiss this claim, because as I've been saying on this channel since this lawsuit came down, I think Drake is super lame for this lawsuit. If you want to get involved in the music industry, you want to play this game, play the game, Drake. You took an L. UMG's a little bit more powerful. They used certain things to get an advantage to diminish your brand, and now they're going to get you at a discount. You got to take the L. Super lame for this lawsuit in the first place. But I also said Drake does have a point, and he does have a case. Two things can be true. Drake does have a viable case here, because a lot of the things he's alleging UMG of doing, we know for a fact. Y'all can look up the interviews. You can see interviews that I've done here on this channel. Go look at the interview I did with Chad Focus, especially if you're a member. You can see that interview with Chad Focus where he says step by step how he did certain things and he was able to use certain platforms to help music industries, to help record labels. And it's so easily done. We've seen DJ Academics. He also had someone on there who's like, yeah, I can show you exactly how they do this. And it's done. So there's a lot of evidence in this lawsuit that a judge is going to see and say, hey, UMG, I'm sorry, but what Drake is alleging, it's looking like he has a leg to stand on here. But with all of that, we still have some more news. It gets even crazier. Again, y'all know I don't really focus on rumors here, and I like to have the facts before I bring something up. But this conversation was just so interesting that I had to bring this to y'all's attention and at least see what you thought on this. So again, this is completely a rumor. I don't know if it's true, but it's something I found interesting. According to Media Takeout, what do they say? Universal Music reportedly offered Drake $250 million to settle the lawsuit. Dang. All right, we're going to get into it. Y'all take this for what it is and let me know if you think it's true in the comments and in the chat. Drake's billion-dollar lawsuit against Universal Music might settle, but there's a major catch. If you thought the rap beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar was about bars and Billboard charts, it goes deeper than the diss track. Of course it does. Here we go. Rapper, songwriter, and icon Drake attends a game between the Houston Rockets and the Cleveland Cavaliers at the Toyota Center on March 16, 2024 in Houston. Okay, we don't really care about that. According to a news insider T reported by Media Takeout, Drake's massive lawsuit against Universal Music Group may be on the verge of a quiet settlement. And the numbers being thrown around are just as wild as you'd expect. But there's a twist. According to a very connected source close to Drake, all right?
Stop the cap.
We don't know. According to a very connected source close to Drake, UMG doesn't want this fight to go public. I believe that 1000%. The insider claims the label is pushing hard to settle things before the lawsuit gains traction in court, and they're offer a cool $250 million, which that number is interesting because we talked about Drake in the past being the $500 million man. UMG did a deal with him in the past that was going to make Drake most likely over $500 million, over $500 million. And now Drake is up for another contract renewal. And Drake is saying, hey, I have these certain losses. Y'all need to compensate me for this. And it's defamation. So how are you going to pay for it? Now we're hearing that they're offering him 250, which would be interesting because that amount is nearly half of most likely what his new deal would be. So we'll get into it. But they say, yes, that's $250 million. But before you scream win for Drake, there's a catch. To accept the settlement, allegedly, Drake would have to drop the lawsuit entirely. And here's the real kicker. He also have to re-sign with Universal Music Group. To accept the settlement, Drake would have to drop the lawsuit entirely and re-sign with Universal Music Group. That's right. In order to get the payout, he'd have to walk right back into the arms of the very company he just accused of sabotaging him. It's giving corporate chess, not checkers, which I think UMG is all about in the first place. I talked about this when we first read the lawsuit. I said, if what Drake is alleging in the lawsuit happened, UMG is absolutely genius, using Not Like Us to diminish Drake's brand, helping Kendrick get a win, which I don't think Kendrick needed that much help in this case. And not only that, but UMG is going to be able to re-sign Drake at a discount. It was brilliant if this is what actually happened. Will Drake settle? It depends. I highly doubt that Drake is going to settle because I personally think this is about more than money. This is about the culture, the people being able to see what UMG had to do to defeat Drake. And if he can show that Kendrick Lamar actually got additional help from UMG, Kendrick Lamar got the help pushing the song so much so that there was no way that Drake could even have a chance to go against Kendrick and win in this way, then that could be a win for Drake because Drake is going to Drake regardless. And we've seen that he's doing that. So either way, again, some interesting points here for y'all. Let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat. Do you think this story is true? That Drake could get a $250 million offer to settle as long as he settles, as long as he settles, it goes away and he signs with UMG? Or is this BS? I want to hear y'all's thoughts. Man, listen. When this first came out with this lawsuit, I said there's only two ways this is going to end. One way is Drake is going to disappear. And I hope that's not the case. The second way is that UMG is going to settle this and make it go away. Because the third option, this going to court and everything coming out in court, is just not, it's not good for UMG at all. because Drake's going to look into and expose every single thing that happened. And he's basically saying, hey, if I'm going to go down, y'all going down with me. Smart move. UMG has to settle this, or they have to make Drake disappear. Those are the only two options I see. Let me see what y'all are saying up in here. Shout out to the gang. We've got Perfect Peace up in here with the one bomb, just showing some love. Thank you, Perfect Peace. I appreciate that. I know a lot of y'all over here don't like Drake. I don't know why, man. Dang. Dang, Kendrick gets no privacy. Nope. That's what I keep saying. You get into this business, it is what it is. It is what it is. Let me see what else y'all are saying in here. Appreciate you, Perfect Peace. K-Doc's contract is none of Drake's business. Yes, it is. I like Drake, but you salty as hell. Take the L and move on. A rap battle is a rap battle. This is about more than a rap battle. And we've went through the contract. If y'all didn't see, or not the contract, we went through the lawsuit. If y'all didn't see that, go back and watch that video. It'll really give you an insight and a look into what Drake is looking for. And there's actually someone over on X who's been doing a great job of covering this, the OVO docket. And I had a little bit of a disagreement with them. Obviously, being called the OVO docket, they're more Drake sided. They said the lawsuit's about money, which obviously at face value, I think it is. In my personal opinion, I don't think this is about money for Drake. I think this is about him trying to show that UMG had to do so much to try and beat him. It was so bad that UMG had to step in and promote and push Kendrick Lamar in this way. And that's what he's saying. So he's not saying that, hey, like I lost. I don't think anybody's doubting that Drake lost the battle. So this isn't going to prove that Drake won, because The Heart Part 6, the song that came out after Not Like Us, was absolutely trash. So I don't think that's the point here. Again, you want to say it's about money, you can, but I think there's more to it than that. They're going to pay him to avoid the label's name being ran through the dirt. I agree 1000%. 1000%. They should have offered him the half they should have offered him the half if that's true. I said it, they're going to pay to avoid it. Yep. I think they better, because man, if they don't, the information that's going to come out, and has already come out, is going to be interesting. Why would they want Drake dramas back? Because Drake is Drake. See, this is what y'all don't get. I keep saying this. Drake is going Drake. Say what you want about Drake. Say he's lame. Say, I don't know how his music's popular. I don't like him. Your opinion about Drake really doesn't matter at this point, because there's a reason UMG gave Drake nearly $500 million contract already. It's because he's Drake. Why hasn't Kendrick Lamar gotten that contract? Can somebody answer that for me? Because Kendrick Lamar doesn't do what Drake does. Drake is very unique. He's got his fan base. People know who they are. And all of y'all screaming Not Like Us was still listening to Drake. Or you're saying that just because you don't like Drake. So Drake is still going Drake regardless. And if this ended today, UMG would probably, in my opinion, from a business standpoint, offer him another contract. Because they weren't, in the first place, UMG wasn't saying they didn't want Drake to work with them in general. They just wanted a discount. So they're like, Kendrick Lamar's beefing with Drake. If we push this song, people, they might not be that interested, or they might see Drake in a different way, and maybe his stock's going to go down, and maybe we can get a discount on. It's possible. Amy says, I don't like Drake or Kendrick. Oh man, Amy. Why, Amy? Some of y'all like Drake, you just don't realize it. I'm gonna play one of these days on the live stream. I'm gonna play 5 Drake songs, and I'm gonna let y'all finish the lyrics in the chat. I bet you that chat would be lit up. If he's smart, he'll leave because they're gonna hold him hostage. Oh, man, send him back to Canada, please. I'm tired of the drama. The people chose the winner. No mistakes were made. I agree. And then shout out. Oh my goodness. Shout out to Mr. Hype in the building. I think it's Kai Hype. He said, I would take that 250, then re-up for 750. Drake is y'all think Drake's not going to get a contract, even if it's not with UMG? Let's be real. Come on. UMG's business records would become public. It's not looking good. That the man ate from the culture and the lawsuit is proof. I don't care. I don't care. Y'all are focusing on the wrong thing. Seems like a lot of people are finding out what Freedom of Information Act is real, costly. My internet is bugging. Drake should call Fanny and see how to gracefully take an L. Y'all are missing it, man. Why? Do y'all really hate Drake that much? Goodness gracious. That's not what this is about. What's up, Jason? Kara says, I like his music. I don't like the drama he brings. Man up and move on. No. Get your money, Drake. I support Drake 1000%. I think he's lame for bringing up this lawsuit, but he has a good case. And he's going to win if this goes forward to court, which I don't think it will. He's going to win this, y'all. F around and find out. Oh, F around and find out. Excuse me. Drake not pressed over money. This is about credibility and positioning the industry. Smoking the one gets it. He gets it. This last Drake and Party album showed UMG they backed the wrong artist. Amy prefers Lil Wayne, and this is why I love Amy. Shout out to the GOAT, Lil Wayne. Yes. UMG's not backing Kendrick Lamar. And I think this is the thing. If UMG were backing Kendrick Lamar, why hasn't Kendrick Lamar gotten a Drake size offer? UMG used Kendrick Lamar. Drake is going up and up and up and up and up. Drake cannot be stopped. Drake and Kendrick Lamar, when it comes to the industry, are on two different sides. One could argue Drake is the industry when it comes to music. Kendrick Lamar is the culture. So this was never about where they stand. And I'm surprised so many of y'all, man, I know y'all know. We talk about it all the time. UMG knew what they were doing. And it's pretty easy to see. Is Kendrick asking for that offer from them, though? Would Kendrick turn down would Kendrick Lamar turn down $500 million? Let me ask you a question. Would Kendrick Lamar turn down $500 million for the sake of the culture? I'm sorry, but I got legacy. I'm trying to have generational wealth. Sorry, culture. I don't know. You'll have to ask Kendrick. They always hate the other one. They always hate the one or ones that are winning. And Drake is winning. Yeah, I don't think it's even arguable. Did Drake win this rap battle? No, that's not arguable either. Is Drake winning? Absolutely. The using was surely mutual. Oh yeah, UMG won in this all around. But if this lawsuit goes forward, they're gonna have a lot of questions to answer. I just got back from Miami and all I heard was Drake and Party album in every spot, even in the Latin and EDM spots. Winning. Yeah, anybody who's questioning that, y'all are super culture hip hop folks who just hate Drake because he's not that. Drake is not that. Drake has never been that. Drake has been the industry guy who makes industry music, who has been very, very successful and more successful than Kendrick Lamar. It's not even an argument at this point. All right, let me see. Let's go ahead and get to some Karen Reed. Y'all know we are getting ready to get into this whole Karen Reed trial, which is going to be interesting. So Karen Reed trial is going to be starting very soon. I think they had it scheduled to possibly start in about a week. So hopefully next Monday, they think we're going to start. We are a few jurors away from getting into this Karen Reed trial. So I want to give an update on what's going on with the jury selection, and then we'll get a review of what happened in this Karen Reed documentary as well. If y'all haven't watched it, I'm going to check it out and do a review later on as we get closer to the trial time. But listen to this from NBC News 10 in Boston.
It's 6:34 right now, and we are getting closer to opening statements in the Karen Reed murder retrial.
Yeah, week 2 of jury selection gets underway today, and we are more than halfway there, Latoya.
We are. So NBC 10's Minash Bonwari, live outside of Norfolk Superior Court in Dedham. Minash, good morning.
10 jurors have been seated so far in this case, 5 men and 5 women. Now, we're told that the sweet spot number is 16, but of course, the court will not turn down the opportunity to get as many as possible, just in case. Nearly 300 people have went before the court, and the biggest obstacle is that a majority of them have admitted to talking about, discussing, or hearing about this case in which Reed is accused of killing her Boston police officer boyfriend John O'Keefe 3 years ago.
Dang.
And for that, she's accused of second-degree murder, manslaughter, and leaving the scene of a crash. Well, speaking of those charges, last week we learned Karen Reed's team has asked the U.S. Supreme Court to dismiss 2 of those charges, claiming in the first trial the jury unanimously agreed to acquit her of them. Now, we'll of course see what the Supreme Court has to say, or if they agree to take this hearing on anyways. But we do know that Karen Reed's team has gone before 4 judges attempting to dismiss those 2 charges, and each of those judges have denied their request. We'll keep you updated on what happens. But for right now, we're live here in Dedham. Minash Bonwari, NBC 10 Boston.
Appreciate that, Minash. Stay with NBC 10 Boston, everyone, for complete coverage of Karen Reed's second murder trial.
All right, and we're going to get into it. So it looks like they're getting close. Man, I wish they would just get, I don't know, about 12 or 14 of things, and let's get it started. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see what y'all's favorite Judge Bev does. Let's get into what's going on in this documentary. If y'all haven't watched it, ID just released a documentary on Karen Reed. I'm starting to go through it. Very, very interesting. And I'm going to give a breakdown of the documentary at some point once we get into this trial. But Court TV actually did a review and kind of broke down what the documentary looks like and if it's worth even to watch. So let's hear what they say about this.
I want to say what happened exactly as it happened. John was a Boston police officer. We went to the bar with a bunch of cops. Jen McCabe invited us to the Alberts. Last I ever talked to him when he got out of my car at Brian Albert's house.
Now for what's trending in true crime, defendant Karen Reed's retrial is fast approaching. She's accused of murdering her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. And now she's finding herself at the center of a brand new docuseries. An investigation discoveries a body in the snow, the trial of Karen Reed. The defendant opens up her Massachusetts home to the cameras and to questions. It shows her and her legal team gearing up for her trial in the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. The first trial, I want to be clear, not the retrial that's coming up in a matter of weeks. Now, Reed insists that the allegations against her are not true.
So, did you drive your car into John?
I did not drive my car into John. Didn't reverse it. Did not hit John with my car.
Is there any chance this was an accident?
There is 0 chance this was an accident. There was 0 chance John was hit by a vehicle.
Hey, and y'all let me know in the comments too, where do you stand on this Karen Reed trial? I think most of you are going to say you think she's innocent, she was set up, but I know there's some of you that want to see it play out or feel a different way. So let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat.
You're tired of it. You've spent so much.
No, I just, no, I'm not tired of it. I hate answering it because I feel like I'm being so scrutinized. Like, did she blink 3 times or twice? And did she like smirk or look to the right or down and up and left or whatever? And like, it just feels so fake, even though it's true. I rather like explain everything else. And like, I did not hit John with my car. Like, I can't make it sincere enough.
Oh, she's Karen, all right now. You didn't have to do the interview. But yeah, I get what she's saying. We're going to overanalyze the smile and the smirk. Be like, oh, she did it. You see her smirk there? Yeah, it's tough.
The 5-episode ID docuseries continues tonight. We're asking, how is Karen Read coming across in the docuseries? Here to discuss, I'm so pleased to welcome back on the show award-winning investigative journalist, author, and podcaster M. William Phelps. Good morning to
Shout
you.
out to Mr. Phelps.
Matthew, welcome back. If I could start with the first question we're asking this morning, how do you think Karen Read is coming off in this docuseries?
Well, honestly speaking, it's hard for me to watch it all at once. So I have to watch it in kind of snippets. And I mean, I deal with these people all day long. I write about them, I interview them. And what I see is a lack of empathy on her part. And it's very sickening to me because we've seen this throughout the entire ordeal where she minimizes her role and kind of maximizes the victim's role and the victim's family's role and the witness's role. So it's hard for me to watch that with any sort of credibility, if you will. And I'll just say,
uh-oh, they lost him. Dang, that's tough.
Matthew, you know what? We're getting just pieces of your audio. It seems to be dropping out, and I want to hear every word you're sharing with us. Let's do this. We're going to take a look at your audio. No, that's okay. We're going to have our engineers take a look at it. I'm going to play another clip for our viewers, going to the point you just made about perhaps there's a lack of empathy we see with this woman when it comes to her boyfriend, the deceased, the real victim in all this, John O'Keefe. Let's take a listen to some of what she said about the fight for him.
Yeah, and for those of y'all who know about their relationship and studied this trial, the first trial, what was her relationship like with John? I mean, is there something there for her to come across as unempathetic to maybe his family or what he had to go through? Or just Boston folk built different? I mean, she's fighting for her life too. So it's like, hey, sorry, John, I'm sad that you're gone, but yo, we gotta make sure I'm good. I don't know.
I've never dated someone or been intimate with someone that they're just completely extricated. You can't get a hold of them anymore. It was just a weird feeling, but now I just want to save myself, and I just want to be who I was before this, and I care less about fighting for John.
Yeah.
She said, I care less about fighting for John. She's saying that she's concerned with saving herself.
Yo, that's great. I have not watched this video yet, so it's funny that after I asked that question that she said that. It makes sense. I mean, justice for John, sure, but that's not what this trial's about. This trial is about, did Karen Read kill him or not? She can't focus on that right now. Then if it turns out she's innocent, maybe she can go after the Boston PD. I don't know.
Matthew, I think we have you loud and clear now. I hope you could hear what we just played. Oh, there we go. You got a backup mic. You're such a pro. Of course you do. Of course you got a backup mic. All right. Your thoughts when you hear her actually say out loud how her bigger concern is herself.
That's smart.
Not John. Does it surprise you?
No, not at all. I mean, I deal with these types of people all the time. And look, I'm not saying that she is a sociopath. I'm not here to say that. I'm not a psychologist or a doctor, but the sociopaths that I have interviewed, and I've interviewed 100 probably, they always marginalize victims in order to minimize their role and to prop themselves up as the victim. I'm just saying. One quote in the first episode of that documentary really stood out to me. And it's very short. And she said, either Jen, meaning Jen McCabe, is going down for this, or I am. And to me, that summed up the entire conspiracy in
Makes
one
sense.
quote, right? It's either Jen or me, and it's not going to be me. And you see, that's not getting at the truth of what happened. That's not talking about justice or,
Exactly.
the facts.
Yep.
That's like waging war.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm with you, Matthew. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. That was a moment where she said that about Jennifer McCabe. She has vilified this innocent witness, this woman who is a teacher, a PTA mom, a friend, a beloved friend of the O'Keeffes. And Karen Reed has positioned her to be the her arch enemy. She's made her out to be the bad guy, all hanging her hat upon this Google search that the company Celebrate has come forward and said did not happen at 2:27 a.m. I can't say it enough.
The person who wrote the software
Exactly.
even said so.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly, Matthew. All right, I want to show you something else, how these two things intersected. Karen Reed's trial and this new docuseries. Yesterday, as you know, she was in court for a motions hearing ahead of her trial, and Hank Brennan, the brand new special prosecutor, took note of another change in Ms. Reed's story. Let's take a look.
Interesting.
We learned last night.
Dang, y'all are getting heated in the chat. What happened? What did they say? Again, one of the reasons I wanted to review this trial is to give a different perspective, because it seems like so many of you have been watching this and I haven't reviewed it at all. So moving forward, for those of you who have already watched the first Karen Reed trial, I'd love for y'all to stay and hang out and give your insight into what happened and what went down. But I'd like to think there's maybe at least one juror in the area that will be involved in this trial that hasn't heard or seen or knows what's going on, and we're going to be that juror here. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what went on with this case, but it's going to be interesting to see what goes on moving forward. Anyway, we're going to keep it moving with this one. Y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments in the chat. Seems like some of y'all are heated about what they're saying here, so let me know why. Wow, innocent witness? No way. The police didn't even care about a fellow officer. She was proven innocent by the first jury on counts 1 and 3, double jeopardy. They would have moved the trial. In my opinion, the police set this lady up from the jump. Y'all need to watch. No, I'm not going to watch. I'm going to watch it like we're jurors on this trial and haven't seen what was going on. So no, I don't want to watch anything outside of this trial, because I think it'll give it a unique perspective. Just watch the days with Michael Proctor's testimony, the lead investigator. Nope, I'm not doing it. I'm intentionally not watching anything, but it seems Karen Reed didn't have any motive. Yep. Yeah, I'm intentionally not going to watch it either. I've seen things here and there, and we've watched and reviewed videos. We heard from the juror who was on the previous trial that said, what he thought was going on and what he saw and what they were going to convict or not convict her of. So I'm new to this also, but I did see the autopsy photos. Looks like he got beat up to me. Uh-oh. Kel Bell says, just wait until you watch the trial. Absolute setup of Karen Reed. I don't know if she did it, but the investigation doesn't prove that she did. The police and that little 16-year-old son of one of the cops, I think is what you meant to say, that killed John, are the ones who murdered him. Facts, y'all are saying. The lead investigator was fired. Watching him on the stand was shocking. Dang, y'all are saying they messed this whole thing up. Let's see. Innocent witness? No way. The police didn't even care about a fellow officer. This clip is so biased and 100% lies. Interesting. I can't wait to see this play out, man. I hope y'all stick around and give some context as well, because I want to hear the context from y'all. I don't want to go and get a perspective based on the previous trial, because this is a whole new set of trials. Y'all know, if you've been following the channel for a while, I like to look at everything based on by itself. So if we have a new document coming out, I want to review that document, review that lawsuit based on its face. And I'm going to try and do the same thing with Karen Reed here. So we'll see if that's possible. I'm not going to lie, it's been tough to to not figure out what's going on. And I'm honestly still contemplating if I'm going to watch the documentary or not. I want to check it out just for content purposes, but I don't want to get too biased. But y'all know I already believe innocent until proven guilty anyway. So regardless of what happens day one when this trial starts, I'm assuming that Karen Reed is innocent. So I think I've got most of y'all on my side with that one, at least. I never saw the first trial, so I'm ready for it, says Libby. All right, dope. I don't know anything about the first trial. This will be interesting. If anybody makes Dorito look credible. Sorry for the grammatical error. I'm big mad. Oh gosh. Karen is $5 million in debt. Oh gosh. And being subjected to double jeopardy, it could happen to any of us. Yeah, that's how I always look at it too. Man, can you imagine if this was you? Karen Reed's just a regular person. Thankfully, and you know, me and Kel Bell were talking about this too, about her doing these interviews. She's probably just doing these interviews and documentaries to pay the bills if we're real. So Kel Bell, maybe we shouldn't give her too much grief. I mean, I'm sure she could start a GoFundMe if she hasn't yet and get a ton of support from people, but maybe she's just doing these to pay the bills. She's like, dang, they're offering me $200K for this exclusive documentary. Guess I got to do it. If y'all are saying she's $5 million in debt, ugh. Kel Bell said her attorney should know better. Her attorney probably said, hey, you've got about 1,000 hours I'm gonna bill you for. You gonna be able to pay for that? She said, no. Oh, okay, well, good. ID just reached out to me and they said they want to do an interview. Should probably consider taking that. Kel Bell, you know how attorneys are, man. They want to get paid. They love you until that invoice is sitting there unpaid. I think Alan Jackson, David, you nerdy. I'm saying it wrong. And her attorneys are fantastic. David Y are fantastic. Yeah, attorneys love you until it's time to pay the bills. Attorneys are pro bono in the second trial. Yeah, I would hope so. If she's $5 million in debt, is that true? If I saw Viverito wearing the Richard Mille, I trust her more than Kel Bell says, I know, but they also like to win. That's true. And her interviews have not helped. Yeah. It's a catch-22, man. I can't, $5 million in debt. Is Karen Reed incarcerated? I can't imagine that she's been in jail this whole time. There's no way. Is she out on bond? Again, I don't know much about this case. Okay, how much was her bond? I want to see. Y'all are saying, no, she's out on bail. Yes. Okay. Her defense fund, I meant, no, she is not incarcerated. Oh, okay. ClassE, she worked for a very large lucrative firm as a stockbroker and was an adjunct professor. Nice. And the large lucrative company has donated a couple million for her. Oh, that's dope. She's not locked up. Oh, her bail was okay. So her bail was only 100,000. I'm sure she had that in the bank. If y'all are saying she did all that, she's not locked up. That's not bad, actually, considering she's being. What do they want to charge her with? What's the exact charge? I'm gonna say first degree, but I don't want to misquote it. Second degree murder, manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol. Oh, leaving the scene of a personal injury and death, and her bail is only 100,000. Oh, she won that one. It was 50 at first. And then it increased to 100K. Shit. second-degree murder, manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol, and leaving the scene of a personal injury and death. Yeah, she won that. I mean, it sucks that she's been fighting this that long, but when it comes to the bond, oh Lord, she got a big win. She's in debt and had to sell her home. That sucks. Somebody's lying. She had all that and got bail. That's what I'm saying. That's crazy. She has consolidated her 401k and had to sell her home and basically everything. Manslaughter is the charge jury did not agree on. They exonerated her on counts 1 and 3. Yeah, we did see that when we reviewed the interview from the former juror. I feel bad for the O'Keefe family. They are drunk on the Kool-Aid. Oh, so they hate Karen Reed? That seems pretty typical. They're probably not rocking with Karen Reed at this point. And that's understandable. Somebody needs to be held accountable. And then I think it would be hard for them to believe that his brothers in the police department were the ones that did it. She left the bar with her friends. There's footage. Dude was gone already. She didn't know where he was. So y'all are saying he was already there, but she did hit him with the car? Is that what you're saying, Chris? So she just hit a body. She didn't kill him. This trial's gonna be crazy, man. What is going on? So she did drive drunk? Oh my God. Okay, I can't. Jeez. Good Lord. Are you serious? So y'all are saying, so was she driving when she left the bar? I mean, she's obviously driving when she pulled up in the driveway. Everyone was drunk that night. If it was a DWI charge, it would be an easy trial. They were all drunk, including the police. Why was she the last person to see him alive? That bitch judge. Oh, y'all, everybody hates Bev. And the connected cops are all the same ones who are also involved in the Sarah Birchmore case. They all drove drunk. I think that's the only charge they can prove because she admitted it. Well, they're not charging her with that. Amy says she'll be selling feet pics next. Oh my God. They all drove drunk, even the cops. No, he left the bar. She didn't know where he went. John went to the house with Karen. Sad that there will still be no justice for this poor officer. Yeah. That's a good question, K-Top. Do y'all think if Karen Reed is found innocent, will we ever know what happened to John O'Keefe? Dang. If Karen Reed's let go and she's found not guilty on all 3 counts, what do you do as the O'Keefe family? You're like, dang. Do we go after the police department now? Because they were the last ones to see him alive. Not with the quality of this investigation. Oh, man. That's tough. All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and get back into this TAY trial for a little bit. We are in day 4 as we're waiting for day 5 to start. So we're going to review some more of the testimony. We're going to hear from some eyewitnesses, some police officers, and y'all can let me know what you think about this in the comments and in the chat. Here we go. Dang, man. That's tough. It's a big dude right there. It's a big guy.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jury can hear. And if you'll state your name and spell your last name, please.
Brandon Halbert, Halbert.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Thank you. Officer Halbert, are you a certified peace officer in the state of Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
And how are you currently employed?
San Antonio Police Department.
How long have you been with the San Antonio Police Department?
Just over 18 years.
18 years?
Yes.
And what is your current title and assignment with the San Antonio Police Department?
Patrol with North Patrol daylight.
All right. And what hours does daylight run?
06 to 1400.
Okay. Can you just briefly describe the training that you had to undergo to become a law enforcement officer with SAPD?
Learning laws, procedures,
He does not
some
want to
evidence
be there.
collection, but we're not, obviously evidence techs.
Okay. And you attended the SAPD Academy, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And
This guy does not
were
want
you
to be
employed
there.
as a police officer with SAPD on April 28th of 2017?
Yes.
Do you recall what shift you were working?
Daylight.
And would you have had the same title and assignment back then as you do today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And on that day, were you in uniform?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you in a marked patrol vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you on patrol on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall being dispatched to 7243 San Pedro Avenue, San Antonio, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall what type of location that was?
That's a Mexican food restaurant.
All right. Is that located in Bexar County, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall why you were dispatched to that location?
Either abandoned vehicle or suspicious vehicle.
Okay. And do you recall, is there a case number associated with that call?
There was one, yes.
Do you recall that?
I don't recall it offhand, no.
Did you write a report on?
A supplemental report, yes.
All right.
Yeah, he's ready to get up out of there. You can hear it in his voice. Yep. What's the next question?
Show you it's been marked for identification purposes only as states exhibit number 58. Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
Okay, and is that a copy of your report that you generated at or near the time of the date that you were dispatched?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and if you take a look at the front page, that right there, does that contain your name?
Yes, ma'am.
And your badge number?
Yes, ma'am.
And would that help you refresh your memory?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you need to refresh your memory, just look at it, please don't read from it. And can you please tell us the SAPD case number associated with the call?
SAPD 17089350.
All right, thank you. And upon arrival at the scene, did you make contact with any witnesses?
Witnesses, no. Made contact with the owner of the restaurant.
All right, and do you recall their names?
Prisciliano Lopez is what I have on the supplement.
All right, and is there a second person that you made contact with? You want to look on page 3 of your report?
Sarah Lopez.
All right, thank you. And eventually, did you end up in the parking lot of that Mexican restaurant?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you notice a vehicle, or what did that look like when you went?
The vehicle was pointed out to me on the initial dispatch. It actually gave the license plate number for the vehicle that was in question. And on the way over there, I ran the license plate, which actually came up with a bolo for the vehicle with a matching description.
Okay, and just so the jury's aware, what is a bolo?
Be on the lookout.
Okay, and do you recall what type of car it was?
I don't recall, no.
Okay. Do you remember if there was any damage on the car?
The windshield.
Okay. And once you were on scene, what did you do?
I called up the detective once I verified the vehicle. That was the vehicle that was in question as far as the bolo was concerned. Contacted the detective. Detective Juarez for homicide, and gave him a heads up as far as that we found the vehicle, that we got the vehicle that was in question as far as that bolo was concerned.
Okay. Regarding the owners of were you looking for any other type of evidence?
The possible video as far as location goes.
Okay, and when you met with the owners, were you able to observe any relevant video to the
Yes,
offense? Okay. Did you observe any other possible items of evidence that you thought may be pertinent to the investigation?
Possible, yes. There's behind the car. I believe it was on the roadway or in the parking lot behind the car. There's a SD drive, little I think a 4 megabyte drive or 4 gigabyte drive that was there.
Okay, and did you take custody of that?
I did, yes.
Okay, and did you contact a crime scene investigator to come make the scene to process it? All right, and did you give her that SD card?
Yes.
Did you go back later on and try to look for other surveillance videos in the area?
The next day I did, yes.
Okay, and did you find any?
I did not.
All right. I'm showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibits number 59, 60, and 61. Do you recognize these?
Yes.
All right. And what are they?
They're CD-ROM or DVDs.
Okay. And have you watched the contents of the DVDs?
Yes.
And what do the DVDs contain?
Some of my body cam, or most of my body camera footage as far as my coming up to the scene, making contact with the detective, and then going inside the restaurant and actually watching some of the footage.
All right. And does State's Exhibits 59, 60, and 61 contain any identifying marks by you?
Yes.
What are those?
My first and last initial, my badge number.
And is that how you are able to confirm that it's the same thing that you've previously viewed?
Yes.
All right. And can you kind of help us understand why it's broken out onto 3 CDs? Did you start and stop it?
I started and stopped, and then one of them was for the very next day whenever I go back over there.
All right. And are these a fair and accurate depiction of the events as they occurred on the offense date?
Yes.
And besides to comply with legal rules, have they been altered in any way?
Not to my knowledge, no.
We're tendering to defense, but at this time the state offers State's Exhibits 59 through 61 and inclusive.
May I go down to witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Good morning, officer. How are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you. Which of these, 59, 60, and 61, is the footage of you in the restaurant looking at the surveillance footage?
I believe 50. I'm sorry, 59.
59, okay. And does that footage depict the surveillance? In other words, is it your body-worn camera recording a computer screen showing the surveillance footage?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you made contact with the restaurant owner about this situation, you had a discussion with that owner about what you thought might be relevant footage?
I believe so, yes.
Was it you or was it someone else that had the conversation about it?
I can't recall.
Probably. Well, let me ask you this way. You were not previously assigned to this investigation in any way, correct?
No, sir.
Did you know anything about why there was a bolo or be on the lookout for that vehicle?
When the bolo comes up, it gives a case number. So I looked up the case for that date and time, so it was only about 5 days prior to. So I looked up what was going on, kind of jogged my memory of what was going on, because I watched it on, or I saw some of it on TV, and I knew some of the officers that were out there that day. So I had an idea of what had happened, but I knew nothing about the case.
And you mentioned that you would call an evidence technician out
Yes,
to
sir.
help you process that SD card, correct?
Not just the SD card, but mainly the car itself. It was mainly for the car, but I gave her a heads up that I found the SD card. And
What was on
even
it?
in the body cam footage, I saved. I was like, I don't know if it has anything to do with this case or not, but I found this outside the car.
Interesting.
And I gave it to her.
Who else viewed the Mexican restaurant's surveillance footage with you besides the proprietor?
There was another detective with I think our IT department that came out there and actually came out and actually got the video footage from them themselves.
So they collected?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you don't know anything about the way that Mexican food restaurant curates its surveillance footage, like whether it's kept, whether it's real-time recording, whether it overwrites certain things, whether it's motion activated. You don't know.
I couldn't recall. No, sir.
Okay. So while you can attest to what is a fair and accurate depiction of what your body-worn camera
Yes, sir.
documented, you can't say whether it's a fair and accurate depiction of the parking lot that you're watching on the screen, right?
From where the parking lot was, as far as the footage goes, and what the adjoining property line, I could tell that that was where it was in the parking lot.
But as far as whether it's truly and accurately recording every second of what's going on in that parking lot, whether anything had been done to the footage before you got there, you can't speak to that.
I cannot know.
That would be our objection to what the officer has identified as
Interesting.
59, and I'd ask the state to confirm that that is the one that shows the body-worn camera showing the surveillance footage. I don't have objections to the remainder of his body-worn camera, so from what the officer has attested to, my objection would be specifically to 59, if state could confirm that.
I'll have to do that on a break. So at this time, I pass the witness and we'll deal with it later.
I have no questions.
Any response to the objections or no response?
Well, Judge, I mean, it's a fair and accurate depiction of what he personally observed on the scene. And so, I mean, he's testified that he's reviewed it. It's what he watched at the scene, and it's a fair and accurate depiction of that. And so, we would be
Right, so,
offering it for that.
but once both of you have had a chance to review 59 and the court will make its ruling. Any further questions for this witness?
No questions of this one.
Is he excused or subject to recall?
Excused by the state.
Excused.
All right, just make sure you remove the microphone. All right, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony.
Nice, he was ready to get out of there.
Trial is proceeding. You may excuse. Thank you. State, call your next witness.
State calls Sarah Lopez.
So he got up out of there. I'll be interested to see what this SD card is about. We got our next witness in the building. Mr. Lopez. Yeah, he was gone. He was not paying on. He was not praying on. Cops really do hate going to court for real. They always have an attitude. It's so stupid.
Good morning. Could you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give to be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Lopez?
I do. All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jurors can hear. If you need to adjust the microphone down, you can.
Okay.
All right. Could you state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Sarah Pacheco. Pacheco, Pacheco.
Good morning, Ms. Pacheco. How old are you currently?
52.
Okay. And do you currently live in San Antonio, Texas?
Yes, I do.
And about how long have you lived in San Antonio?
About 28 years.
Okay. And are you in the restaurant business, is that correct?
Correct.
And back in 2017, what was your last name?
Lopez.
Okay. Now I want to turn your attention to April 28th of 2017. At that time, were you an owner of Potosino Mexican restaurant?
Correct.
Okay. And who were you co-owners with?
My ex-husband, Prisciliano Lopez.
Okay. And is that restaurant El Potosino located at 7243 San Pedro Avenue, San Antonio, Texas?
That is correct.
And did you and your husband notice a vehicle that had been at the location?
Object to reading, Your Honor.
Overruled.
You can answer the question. Have you and your husband noticed a vehicle that had been at the location?
My ex-husband noticed it at the time. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And was a call made to 911?
Yes.
Overruled.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes.
All right. And did an officer with the San Antonio Police Department arrive on scene and speak with you?
Correct.
All right. And at the time, was your restaurant equipped with security cameras?
Yes, it was.
And were those digital cameras?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall where they were located at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. And when the FAPD made the scene, you were able to log into your security camera footage and pull up. Were you able to log into the system?
Yes.
Okay. And did you look for video?
Yes.
Okay. And did you find any relevant video that the officer asked you to preserve?
Yes.
Now, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 62. I'm going to pull it out of the white envelope. Do you recognize what this is? The CD?
Is the video?
Okay. And so this CD, State's Exhibit number 62, contains video on it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And have you made any markings on this exhibit?
Yes, it's my initials.
Okay. And is that, you've reviewed what's on this CD, correct?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And you're able to confirm that what's on the CD is the same thing that you viewed because you signed it when you watched it?
Correct.
Okay. And what's contained on State Exhibit number 62, is that the same video footage that you provided to the San Antonio Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. And was the video that's contained on State's Exhibit number 62, was it prepared on a device that is capable of making accurate visual recording?
Objection,
Yes.
Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Okay. And in your experience with the system that you had, the security camera system at the time, did you find it to be reliable and accurately depict your location?
Yes.
Okay. And has this video been altered in any way?
No.
Okay. And on the date that you extracted this video, were you competent to operate the system?
Yes.
Okay. And you've reviewed the contents of State's Exhibit 62, is that correct?
Yes.
And it's a good visual representation of the location at the time?
Yes.
Okay. I'm tendering to defense for inspection. At this time, the state offers State's Exhibit number 62.
May I go down the witness?
Yes.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. Thank you.
So this is the surveillance footage from what the police asked you to prepare for this case, is that right?
Correct.
And can you tell me a little bit more about the surveillance system that you use?
I don't know what you want me to say about that.
Did you install that system
No.
yourself?
No.
Who installed it?
I don't recall at the moment who installed it, but it was a company that came and installed the system.
Do you maintain the evidence? I mean, like the footage that it collects. I mean, how do you store that information?
It just whatever it stores on the hard drive.
So she don't
But
know.
we don't.
She don't recall.
Like we don't keep records of it. It's whatever time it stores it. That's it.
Okay, so does it overwrite itself at some point?
I don't understand what do you mean by overwrite.
I mean, did somewhere on a hard drive that you owned, would every day that camera was running be available to look at it?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. In terms of finding this specific chunk of footage, what did you use to find this piece of footage?
I used a mouse to go into the system and look for the date and hour.
Okay, so you were able to search it just by date and hour?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No objections.
All right, State's Exhibit number 62 is admitted without objection.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Granted.
Okay, Ms. Pacheco, and so there was a couple of three different camera views that you provided, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so,
Oh, thankfully we have some footage. Hopefully we get to watch the whole thing. They've been robbing us.
and just for the record, I am playing vantage point from camera 12.
Is this at the Chick-fil-A? Can't see anything though. Looks like that's everybody getting into the car. Is that from the McDonald's on Cleveland? I see you, Brian. That's hilarious. We are never gonna get that footage. That's the chick with the blonde hair they keep talking about.
We pass the witness, Your Honor.
No question.
All right, is this witness excused or
No
subject for
question.
recall?
Okay.
Excused by the state.
Excused.
All right, the rule has been revoked. That means you're not allowed to discuss your testimony or do anything about this trial. Do you understand?
I understand.
All right, you'll remove the microphone and you may step down.
Thank you.
State call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor, this is Kadisha Ross.
Well, that was easy.
Could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jury can hear. And if you'll state your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
My name is Kadisha Ross, Kadeisha.
Hey, Ms. Ross.
Thank you, Judge. Kadisha Ross. Well, actually, do you go by Kay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Can you please just introduce yourself to the jury and tell them what occupation and organization you work for?
Yes, good morning. My name is Kay, or Kadisha Ross. I work for the Regional Organized Crime Information Center, also known as ROCIC. We are one of 6 regional information sharing system centers located in Nashville, Tennessee. We offer or provide investigative services to our law enforcement agencies as well as secure information sharing.
Your Honor, I think for the purposes of this under Rule 705, 702, 703, I'd request a Delbert Kelly hearing outside of the presence.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard some evidence in this case. You're not allowed to discuss anything that you've heard. You're not allowed to internalize or start deliberating. You're not to do any investigation. Everything that you need to know about this case has come from inside the courtroom. Does everyone understand? Yes. All right, so I'm going to give you a break, and the deputy will bring you back in after this hearing. All right, everyone, please rise with the jurors.
All right, dang. So they just Judge Boyd just shut it down like that. All right, let's skip ahead real quick for when the jury goes out. Get into this hearing.
Your Honor, I would call the court and the counsel's attention to a case, Dexter versus State. We're going to have a cite to it, Your Honor. It's a Court of Criminal Appeals case. And the court held that the name organized crime, we would object to that, and the court instruct the jury not to go in, not to consider that factor of the title organized crime. And you'll see, I'll get you the cite to it. Court of Criminal Appeals reversed that case where the prosecutor's office had a sign that said organized crime unit. It does imply, I would suggest to the court, a sinister aspect that has nothing to do with this nice witness or what she does, which we're happy she's doing it. It's just that it implies to the jury that there's some belief that this individual is involved in organized crime.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I guess, pursuant to that, I would ask if the state could please have the witness offer the basis of her opinion and the underlying facts and data of it, and then
I don't know what her opinion is. I don't even know if if she's being offered as an expert witness or not.
That's my impression, Your Honor, is that they're going to be offering her.
She is an individual that clarified the video and had analyzed the video to be better viewed by the trier of fact.
All right, and so
I see.
when
This
you
is
speak,
pure about video enhancement. Okay, well, I wanted Dr. Kelly hearing about that too, so that's good. That's great.
so is this specifically her expertise is enhancing videos?
Clarifying, yes, Your Honor.
All right. And when we speak of enhancing videos, is it State's Exhibit 62? Or is it another video?
It would be 62 and 40.
Can we see the video?
All right.
Could we, I guess,
I will hear it.
Just
Let's
voice-
have a hearing.
Your Honor, may I have the record reflection of counsel, and the court will have the case of it. We'll get it for it. Dexter versus State is 544 Southwest 2nd, page 426, Texas Criminal Appeals, Court of Criminal Appeals, 1976.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you.
All right, so y'all may ask your questions.
you could just pop where her testimony is.
Her testimony, well, Your Honor, she has analyzed the videos, and if I'm just going to proffer.
Yeah, well, if we could proffer to the witness. Then.
Oh, okay. Would you like to do that one?
Please.
Well, Ms. Ross, can you, your previous educational background, what's your educational background?
Sure. I have a criminal justice administration degree from Middle Tennessee State,
What's up, Ilya?
bachelor's, and also a psychology minor.
And then also, do you have any
Well, that sounds
job
familiar.
training?
I do. I've been conducting forensic video analysis for about 2 years.
And do you have any specialized training?
Yes, I am a certified forensic video technician under LEVA, which stands for the Law Enforcement and Video and Emergency Services Video Association International, Incorporated.
And do you have any professional experience?
Could you clarify?
Analyzing videos and of that nature?
Well, yes. In addition to just on-the-job training, as well as certification, I've undergone about 124 specific hours of video training certification.
And what about training that relates exactly to your position?
Yes, that is pertaining to LEVA, those certifications, again, so 176 hours of audio and video training, specifically 124 hours of certified video training, as well as about 2 years of conducting forensic imaging for cases.
And just if you know, how many possible like actual cases have you worked on?
In total, 260 as it relates to video.
And in this particular case, were you sent videos to analyze?
Was I sent videos to analyze? Yes, so Sergeant Rodriguez was able to upload through our secure network risk files. He was able to provide that media to us.
And did you successfully complete the analysis of these videos that were sent to you?
Yes, enhancements were done relating to specific requests by Sergeant Rodriguez on our RLCIC forensic request form.
And in this particular field of work, is the way you analyze and enhance these videos is an accepted practice of how you perform that?
Yes, there is a recognition in the scientific community for forensic video analysis. Yes.
And did you use certain equipment to perform this enhancement?
Yes, so enhancements were conducted using AMP5, which is a forensically sound and scientifically based forensic software used for processing or clarifying video and images.
And is this equipment that you use accepted use in the scientific community?
Yes.
I want to know what they are. What y'all using over there?
And do you represent yourself to be an expert in the field of, I guess, enhancement of these videos? What is your title as in enhancing videos?
Under LEVA, I am certified to conduct forensic video analysis.
At this time, Your Honor, we'll pass the witness for the purpose of this hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Morning. Good.
A couple of questions. You gave an acronym of an accrediting organization that you are certified under. Could you please give me that full accrediting organization's name again?
Yeah, so it's LEVA. It's the Law Enforcement and Emergency Services.
Yeah, I want to know what they use.
Video Association. International Incorporated.
So incorporated, so it's a private entity, it's not a governmental, is that correct?
I'm honestly unsure.
Okay. Do you know if it, in and of itself, has
She
any
seems qualified to me. I don't know.
collaboration with other organizations in the same field that engage in peer review and cross-analysis with what it does? Or is it a standalone entity that has no additional oversight?
To my knowledge, they are standalone. If they are recognized as the global standard for forensic, for the science of forensic image and processing. They train and provide certification.
When you say that they are recognized as the global standard, is that something that the incorporated entity has represented, or is that something that has been independently accredited from another crime laboratory or another law enforcement entity that you are aware of?
They recognize themselves as the global standard. It's on their website if you were to go. Yes, sir.
Now, you said that what you did in this case was enhancements of a video, and I want to get a little bit more precise about that. When you say that you enhanced the footage, what specific process, digital, mechanical, or otherwise, did you put upon the videos you were provided in this case?
Sure. So if I'm understanding your question, so the process or the purpose of image enhancement is to reveal pre-existing image information from the file in order to provide a more fair and accurate representation of the image content.
Okay, so when you say pre-existing image information, when we're talking about a digital photograph, we're talking about a series of pixels on a computer screen, right?
Sure, yep.
And so, you know, the pixels will be a color of some kind. You know?
Luminance and color, yes, sir.
Okay. And so when you say luminance, you talk about how bright the pixel is?
Yes.
And then what color that pixel is?
Correct, yes.
So if the camera captures an image in that pixel, a certain amount of light has reacted with the sensor of that camera, and that camera has discerned that wavelength of that light to be a certain color, right?
Correct.
And that's sort of a fixed thing about the world, that light refracts off a certain object or a certain person at a particular wavelength, and it gives off a certain amount of brightness, and that's just how light works, right?
I would agree, yes.
And we can't change that later. You agree with that too?
We can, through enhancements, to clarify things that are not
They're using AI.
revealed at the scene. Yes, we
Let's
can.
be a little bit more precise then.
Sure.
So you don't dispute that the light is bouncing off of the subject in the photograph at fixed wavelength. I mean, that because of the way physics operates, that's going to be how the photon reacts when it strikes the object and bounces back, no matter what you do with a camera or a computer later, right?
Correct, depending on that specific device, the quality of it, sure.
And I mean, okay, but you'd agree with me that the sensor on a camera cell or a piece of 35 millimeter film can't register a photon of light that wasn't there, right?
Can you clarify?
I mean, light either bounced off of something and came back to the eye of the camera, or it didn't.
A camera is generally a light receiving device, yes.
Right. So while you could do things to the image after the fact, you can't change how the camera actually perceived the object when it was the subject of the photograph, when the exposure was made, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So when you say that you're going back in and enhancing it, I'm trying to understand what exactly you are doing to the pixel, both in terms of its luminescence and in terms of its color, specifically. Like what are you altering about the image when you make the enhancement?
The image content stays the same. I am not taking away, I'm not adding in any new information. The enhancement process is through already pre-existing information that wasn't clear to the human eye. These cameras at the scene are only capturing what is of quality to that specific device. Videos are volatile and changing information. So you have an encoding and a decoding process. That light is transformed or converted into electronic signals, and it's stored and processed until it's ready to be played back.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the way a computer is processing the information that is received by the exposure is being converted to whatever code the computer uses, to the language of the computer, right?
Yes.
And that's how later you can tell the computer to show you the image again. It has all of the code for what that exposure represents, and it can reproduce the pixels at a later time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so what you're saying is that because videos are dynamic and those pixels are changing a lot, and there's a lot of code, that sometimes the way the computer writes in language, the visual information that the camera sensor received may be confusing to the human eye, and that you need to sometimes fix that?
Confusing or not specifically revealing to the human eye, not exposed to exactly what the camera sees and what the human eye has seen once all that information is encoded and transcoded and later processed. Yes, there can be issues with that playback as far as the container, the codec, the frame rate, compression, noise. All of those are factors in the way how the human eye perceives video.
And at its core, those are basically aesthetic judgments. I mean, they're about whether or not you, as the perceiver of the image, feel that the image is sufficiently clear, right?
Yes.
And so it comes down to a matter of your interpretation as to how much clarity, how much sharpness, how much contrast, how much shadow removal, how much brightness enhancement you believe the image needs in order to be, quote unquote, more clear, right?
It's not necessarily based on what I believe. I go by the histogram that basically discerns or lays out in a graphical format how those pixels are distributed. So it's not, in a way, my enhancements aren't to make the video look better or, look a certain way. I am enhancing based off this histogram and the way those pixels must be distributed prior to and after.
Do you have any experience with analog camera equipment, just for point of reference?
Not fully, no sir, but I'm familiar.
Okay. And so, I mean, obviously, even with digital equipment, you're familiar with like red filters, green filters, yellow filters, and how those can affect the image and affect how the colors register on the final exposure.
Generally,
Remember that,
yes.
that concept?
Yep.
And histograms are sort of a digital photographer's tool to essentially apply the same concept, to be able to see how much of this light is coming in through the red spectrum, the green spectrum, the yellow spectrum, so that adjustments can be made to the color, right?
Yes.
And photographers do make those adjustments based upon aesthetic judgment about how to make the subject of the image pop, to stand out more from the background, to be more clear, those kinds of things, right?
There is a forensic line between Photoshop and making something aesthetically pleasing and conducting a forensic video analysis in order to restore and enhance an image.
Yes.
But we both refer to a histogram. It is helpful in the process.
And that thank you so much. That's exactly where I want to talk about.
Okay.
Let's talk about, as you say, the forensic line between the aesthetics of the image, or its,
he knows what he's talking about.
Ease of understanding by the observer versus what is going on. What standards do you rely upon when adjusting the histogram of an image?
Well, a histogram is made up of midtones, highlights, and lowlights. So a histogram, if it's going to the far right, there is a lot of exposure or clipping or brightness in that image. If it's to the far left, it's basically dark and a lot of contrast. It's hard to be able to see that image. There is no perfect histogram. However, you want it to be as round towards the middle as possible.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, the histogram of an image is the histogram in terms of light. When the exposure is made, whether it's a computerized cell or whether it's analog film, when the exposure is made, there is a certain amount of light let into the aperture, and that's going to register on a histogram as demonstrating that some amount of the light falls into this category, some amount of the light falls into that category, etc., right?
Correct.
And so that is the way that the camera captured it. And you're then analyzing a graph showing the percentages of where that light fell when the camera captured it, correct?
Yes.
So when you say you want it to be more in the middle, the photographer, if he's tasked with making sure that it's a good quality image from the get-go, would want to light meter the subject, right? And make sure that he's corrected for his aperture and exposure so that the histogram does come into the middle, right? That's the sign of a really good photographer that knows how to make that histogram look as you described, correct?
Sure.
But if the camera didn't do that, then the camera didn't do that. It's overexposed, it's underexposed, the light's over on one side or the other,
What's
right?
up, Roger?
So when you talk about wanting it to be in the center, we're talking about now instructing the computer to change the values that it will ascribe to those pixels so that different colors and different luminances will appear on your computer screen than what was originally captured, right?
Yeah, so basically he's talking about, when he's talking about the correction, I hear what he's saying. He's saying that the image is actually changed in certain ways and it's not actually enhanced. Very interesting argument. This stuff is so interesting. I've done a lot of research on it as well. It's interesting to see how he's going about questioning her techniques, as he would say. I'll be interested to hear her answer here.
You are more so, you're not, could you clarify? I'm sorry.
Do you change the actual image?
So you look at an image. Let's say we have an image that's horribly underexposed.
Right.
Right. You know, like just way too dark.
Okay.
And you look at that histogram, and what all of it would be on the left for an overexposed.
Yes.
I'm sorry, underexposed. So everything's way over on the left, and you look at the image and you go, I can't see anything in this. It looks almost like a totally black screen. This is a bad image. This, cameraman shouldn't have taken this picture. And now you have to do something to the pixels, luminescence into their color, in order to try and correct it, right?
There's limitations, sure. It depends on how overexposed or underexposed that image is. We don't receive or enhance every image or video that we come across.
If you close the aperture of the camera completely and no light got in, you would not be able to overexpose that image, right?
Correct.
Okay. So understanding that there are physical limitations, what instructions have you received? What are the protocols that your accrediting organization recommends that guide you as to where the line is between naturally adjusting a histogram on an image to slightly improve its contrast or its brightness or its white balance versus manipulating it too far?
There it is.
Do you have written protocols that instruct us on this?
There is a forensic image processing framework that we follow in order to restore and enhance video or images. It's a case-by-case basis. Each, as you may know, each video and image is different. But there is a framework, yes, that we do follow in order to first restore, figure out what is wrong with that video or image, restore as it relates to aspect ratio, for example, distortions. And then from there, we go into the enhancement process.
All right, so let's just start from that concept. How does your training tell you to identify when an image is wrong? What makes an image wrong?
So frame rate, for example, distortions, lens. There could be a wide angle lens, a barrel lens. So depending on that camera's lens is where that distortion may play a part.
What if the photographer wanted it to have those distortions? Or what if the photographer intended that lens for a particular effect?
Sure. So, for example, that's where you have proprietary video and where they make up or program their systems to operate a certain way. Okay. So, for example, I don't know if we can relate this to the case, but that 360, fisheye lens, that was unrolled and flipped horizontally and vertically because that specific manufacturer wanted a 360 scene of that camera.
Okay.
But how was it flipped, though?
That's what I want to know about, right? The lens is a fisheye.
Yep.
And so then to adjust or enhance that fisheye lens in some way,
you have to change the actual image.
Are you saying that you would be using the proprietor's technology to be able to do that?
It was the source of the video, so I'm only clarifying what was provided to me.
He's making some great points here.
So yes, that video came as a 360 fisheye camera.
I understand. What I guess I'm getting at is, what are the methods that you would use to address problems like distortions or other problems with a fisheye camera?
As it relates to...
Well, I guess my problem is, it sounds like all of this is an aesthetic judgment, because I still don't understand from you, okay, let's back up. You get an image. The image is what the image is, right? Flaws and all, it's the image, correct?
Okay.
And then they hand it to you. What criteria do you use to determine that that image needs to be changed?
We follow the forensic image processing framework.
Well, tell me about that.
Sure. So the forensic image processing framework, includes file preparation when we first receive the request. This goes into contacting the officer, getting the nature of the request, specific timestamps, things like that, introductions. From there, we do a analysis.
Let me pause you right there, because I think that one might be the most important thing. The process starts because someone in law enforcement is asking you to adjust the image. That's why the process starts?
They ask us to enhance, yes.
Okay. So it isn't a situation where it's given to you and you are determining whether or not there is something about this footage that is wrong or problematic. The way that it comes to your attention is needing your work is because law enforcement has asked you to do something to the image. Is that right?
Yes, because they are able to clarify or see or specify an object or person or vehicle.
They want to see?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so they're asking you to make evident, to make visible what it is that they want you to show them, right?
Yes, based on descriptive information or timestamps provided by that requester, yes.
Okay. When that kind of a request comes in, do you ask them questions along the lines of who took the image, under what context was the image taken? Do you ask any kinds of questions like that?
We mainly ask how was the media obtained, and then also go into specifics as far as descriptions, again, timestamps, when that person, vehicle, or object comes into view of the camera. Yes.
Did you receive such a request in this case?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that request?
Not with me, it's in my case file, but yes, it is here.
Okay. In a moment, we'll be requesting that that be produced.
Well, here's the thing. Let's not request it in a moment. Does she have it? Can you give it to him? So if he wants to ask questions about it for determination of this hearing, it can be done now.
Does she step down here?
Yes. Thank you.
Interesting. I mean, he might argue that the image was changed, though. This is a very interesting argument. I've never seen an attorney get into this much technical detail
Cross-examination
with the witness before, with the expert witness. This is impressive.
That she is here for. Let's get to that.
Yes, Your Honor. What I'm inquiring into now are the three prongs of Kelly.
Let's get to it.
Yes.
All right, Counsel, you're ready to proceed with your question.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm just reading the document she tendered to me.
All right, you can have a seat, Counsel.
Okay. We walked off with 3 different sets of the court reporter's stickers. And I'd like to hear about that one.
All right, so do you have some stickers for them?
We do, Your Honor. I'm sorry. We just. And as far as,
I think I'm fine.
well, but for these,
Oh, for the hearing.
like, out of the presence, I think this is 2, right? So I'm gonna mark this as 2R. Your Honor, for the purposes of the hearing, I would move to admit 2R.
No doubt.
All right, 2 hours admitted for purposes of this hearing.
All right, I'm going to hand this back to you. So in that request, there isn't a date on that request. Could you tell us when that was submitted to you?
It's on the back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. June 21st, 2024.
June 21st of 2024. Okay. And when you, and the request that you have in front of you requested you to focus specifically on certain timestamps related to focusing on the black Kia, right?
Yes, so this specific request included the vehicle, black Kia, and also its occupants as well.
Okay. And so,
Your Honor, I'm just going to object to this time because, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
This doesn't seem like it's related to her expertise in this
All
area.
right, that's the same. Can we get to her level of expertise? What she's planning on testifying that requires her proposed level of expertise, and I will make a ruling on whether or not she's an expert in this field, whether or not this is scientifically accepted. Can we get to that point? This is not for everyone to cross-examine her now. This is a focused hearing, and that focused hearing is whether or not she should be allowed to testify as an expert, and it appears from the court that the expertise she's being offered in is in some sort of video enhancement. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, so if we could get to those points, the court would appreciate it.
all right, let me just real quick make sure that I walk through this like this. You stated that your background in education prior to your employment was not in any kind of photographic field, correct?
Correct.
You received on-the-job training for the last 2 years in video enhancement.
Correct.
And that was done under this law enforcement and emergency services entity that you described, which is an incorporated private entity, right?
I'm not sure about private, but yes.
And you indicated that they don't have any oversight organization that addresses or reviews their standards, that they are self-regulated.
I'm unsure.
Okay. And with respect to the scientific principles that you rely upon in order to bring about these enhanced processes, what are they? What are the principles that you are using? What scientifically is going on in terms of the physics of it? We're talking about light and how light registers with the human eye when we look at it on a computer screen. What about that discipline is underlying the work you do that confirms that it's valid?
I'm unsure how to answer that question.
Okay. Do you not know what scientific principles underlie the work you did on this case?
Are you asking me about the specific filters that I use as it relates to science?
I don't know exactly what it is you did to the video, so maybe we could start there, and then I'd like to ask you, what principles lead you to believe that that's not misleading? What methods do you use to make sure that those principles are being applied correctly?
Okay.
And what did you do specifically in this case, and was that in keeping with those standards?
Okay. So if I'm understanding your questions clearly, so it's a restorative practice. So these guidelines that I'm following fall under already scientific methods that were proven to enhance or clarify images or video.
What methods?
There are references. I don't have a handbook on these men or women.
Do you know of that are applicable here?
I can refer to my verification report. I don't mentally know specific methods, scientific methods. I can tell you the filters or processes that I used and how they were applied to the video and how the pixels were how can I say this? I can, for example, sharpening, cropping, resizing, magnifications. I can explain to you how those filters are used and how they work.
Filters in this case.
It's not
I did,
changing.
yes.
Okay, then yes, please explain how do those things work?
So, for example, when you annotate or magnify, that magnification uses different interpolations to calculate those pre-existing pixels in order to make that image larger. Specific interpolations are nearest bilinear bicubic, as well as sharpening. Sharpening emphasizes edge details of the higher frequencies of images in order to define those edges. Cropping takes out parts of the video or image that would otherwise be distracting. So if you have like the vehicle was in the lower left area of the corner, all the other, higher parts were cropped down to that specific vehicle only. Lighting contrast adjustments. There's a color cast, white balance would help reduce that.
So just so we're clear, all of the things you just described are settings and options that anyone with Photoshop can access, right?
Yeah.
These features should be, to my knowledge, are available in Photoshop. Yes, you can crop and resize. You cannot magnify. It could be wrong in Photoshop. But yes, these same features are available in that software.
Okay, and so they're proprietary to the particular piece of software that has these features. So in Photoshop's one program that may do that. I'm sure there are hundreds of others that offer some variety of magnification, cropping, sharpness, contrast enhancement, white balance, alteration, all those different things, right?
Yes.
Like those are standard photo editing tools that hundreds of different companies manufacture versions of, right?
Sure.
And so which software do you use?
I use AMP5.
AMP5. Yes. Okay. Tell me about AMP5.
It's a scientific-based and forensically sound software used for video image processing.
When you say it's scientifically based and forensically sound, do you know anything about how AMP5 was developed or what stands it apart from, say, if I went over and bought a license for Photoshop?
Yeah. So aside from Photoshop, the processes in AMP5 can be repeated, they can be reproduced, and they can be verified.
So can Photoshop, right?
Does Photoshop print out a verification report for each filter or process used? Do they have references for that specific filter?
Well, I mean, aren't you just describing metadata?
AMP5 does not have a verification report after a image has been enhanced.
Well, I mean, other than calling it a verification report, what's different from that and clicking properties on a Photoshopped image?
Because it includes all the specific metadata, file input, processes, who used, who has practiced, who has done a scientific, hypothesis and proven that these processes have worked.
Okay, so do you have that material, that verification report for this enhancement?
It was submitted as a final. It was submitted in the final exhibit to Sergeant Rodriguez.
Do you have you reviewed it in preparation of your testimony?
I have reviewed it, not in its entirety.
He's asking some great questions, though.
All right, so here's the first question. The document that is being handed to the defense, number one, what is that document? And number two, is that in any way related to whether or not what her expertise that she's being offered as, and I'm assuming again that the expertise is video enhancement. Does it have anything to do with whether or not the video enhancement that, from what I'm hearing from the testimony, she operated on a DVD? Does that document have anything to do with this hearing on whether or not she's an expert in this field and whether or not this is a scientifically accepted enhancement? Does it have anything to do with that?
I'm not sure I've ever seen this before.
Actually, it was sent over October 17, 2024. An email was sent to you. Additional evidence, and in this case, has been copied to a disk at your convenience. Will be placed at the fourth floor window.
All right. So, any other questions for this witness for this hearing? Because this is not a time for cross-examination. This is strictly whether or not she's an expert in video enhancement and whether or not video enhancement has been scientifically accepted. Any more questions in regards to that?
Well, Your Honor, I think that we have established that the three prongs of Dr. Kelly have not been met, but I also, given that one of the things that she stated is that this forensic video report is the reason that the software that she uses would meet the standards of Dr. Kelly, I would like to cross-examine her slightly about the contents of the report because I'm not
All right, so when was defense given this report?
It was made available to them on October 17, 2024.
All right, so that's been made available since October 2024. Ask the questions.
Your Honor, I'm not ready to stipulate to that yet because I'm not familiar with it. So while I'm sure that Mr. Garahan advises something that he believes to be true, I'd like to verify that against what we've received. We've been trying to...
All right, could one of the counsels look and see if you all received that in October 2024?
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
Could one of the counsels at the table look and see if that documentation has been in your possession since October 2024?
It will take us it'll take us a few minutes to confirm that, Your Honor. There's been a lot of production since October of 24.
All right, so just so everyone knows, we're going to continue with this witness, and we will be here until this witness is concluded. Then at that point, that's when we will take our recess.
Your Honor, may I ask before the jury is brought back in?
Oh no, the jury's not going to be brought back in right now. I'm going to let defense ask whatever other questions the defense wants to ask of this witness.
And then if I may.
Yes. And then after he finishes asking all of the questions he wants to ask as it relates to a Daubert hearing,
the court will make its ruling, and then the jurors will be brought back in. And
If I
we will
may ask for an instruction before they are. Depending on what the court rules.
An instruction on what?
This has nothing to do with this. Assuming that she is brought here solely for the purpose of video enhancement, which I believe the court has said several times, I would like a Dexter versus State instruction that the word organized crime just happens to be the name of her company, and that it is not intended to imply anything to do.
All right,
with
if
her
there's no
method.
objection from the state, if she's allowed to testify, I will give an instruction that the title of her company is in no way to suggest that this case is something concerning organized crime. Any objections from the state?
No objection, Your Honor.
I guess, Your Honor, to help move this along, I mean, Mr. Garahan has established that...
I'll just ask your questions, counsel. We're going to move it along through question and answer, so go ahead and ask your questions. Tell the jurors just to wait. Counsel, you can have a seat, ask your questions.
Yes, Your Honor. My point in addressing the court with that was just simply to say that my questions further will hinge somewhat a little bit more on what specifically they are trying to elicit.
No. Here's the thing. We're having a Daubert hearing. There's a proffer that was made, and the state stated that they were offering her in the expertise of video enhancement. So, counsel, you may continue to ask your questions of the witness as long as it relates to her expertise.
But, Your Honor, I believe under Rule 705, part of the hearing entitles us to know the specific conclusions of the witness's opinion and the underlying facts and data that support them.
My understanding is that the report that you received that the state said that you've had since 2024, that's what's in the report. And the state has already stated what they're offering, the purpose of her testimony. So please continue with your questions. You can ask as many questions as you want to ask of the witness. You may proceed.
Ma'am, if you could just briefly explain what opinions you intend to give to this jury today.
I don't provide opinions. I'm not an analyst. I'm a technician.
So what are you going to say to this jury specifically about the work that you did?
It depends on what you ask. I don't know what I'm going to say. Sorry.
Your Honor,
like, why the hell are you here, lady? Oh. She was doing so good. What you mean? You don't know why you're here?
I think I've established this, and I'd like to mark this as well, that this defendants are free and have this admitted as well for the purposes of this record.
Why are you here, lady?
We will check our discovery production records and confirm whether we received it. I'd move at this time to have it admitted.
I don't
Yeah, she's getting
that
flustered for
that
sure.
was my copy, but I can get another copy. I just don't have a paper copy.
I'm sorry.
I don't think I marked it except for the front of the highlight.
And I'm okay with your highlight. I don't think it telegraphs anything.
Well, if you would, then if the state will need to make a copy of that, your exhibit number, if you'll put it on the back, on the last page.
I can probably make a copy. I can make a copy. I can.
All right. All right, proceed.
May I approach?
Yes.
So I'm showing you what we've marked for the purposes of the hearing as defendants R3. This is the report that you indicated was produced.
Yes, sir.
And you're saying that this report is produced by the program?
No, this is a comprehensive forensic report that was written by me.
You authored this report?
Yes.
Okay. So when we were talking about what the information that the program can produce, the program doesn't write this.
No, so we have a forensic video report, and then there's also a verification report that directly comes from AMP5 that lays out specifically details and references as it relates to that last page, the procedures. So again, this is a comprehensive forensic report that was written by me. It lays out my procedures and processes, the filters that were used, in addition to that verification report directly from the software. If that answers your question.
Nothing in this document was made by the software, right?
No.
You wrote everything that's in this document?
I did.
Okay. And so much of the document consists of just showing the file names that are associated with these videos?
Yes, it includes the reason for the examination. It has a chain of custody as well. In addition to the media information, it has multiple pages of each file that was provided by Sergeant Rodriguez, laying out that file information, the metadata, and then in the back of that, the conclusion is the procedure, what was done, the software used, the filters, why more enhancements could not be done and how those enhancements were exported and provided to that requester.
So in terms of computer language, nothing in here shows us the actual commands that the computer executed when you decided, for example, to make the image sharper. There's nothing in here that another expert wanting to critique your work would be able to say, she moved the slider over this many degrees to the right because here's the hash value for that in this printout of what the computer actually executed, right? That's not in this report?
In that report, no. That is in the verification report that was also provided.
So there's another report in addition to this one?
It is.
Okay. Was that also produced in October of 2024?
It was.
Okay. Mr. Garahan, we'd also like to see that.
Judge, may I have projector?
Yes.
Just want to make sure.
You want to see the exhibit?
No, I want to be able to show the witness.
Okay.
Make sure we got the, which one is that? Is that that report? Or this is the forensic report?
There should be a verification. Is this Exhibit 02?
I'm sorry?
Okay. It may be an Exhibit 01. Do you have that?
Y'all think they're gonna let her in as an expert?
It's not there.
Because the defense is kind of cooking this lady right now.
It's not that.
Oh, yes, that is it.
That is it?
That is it, yes.
Okay, Judge, it is 106 pages, Judge, so we will print it out.
Okay. When, on the final page, or I guess on the final 2 pages of this report, pages 25 and 26 of defendant's R3, you said that you describe in plain language the procedures that you employed, right?
Yes.
So you, for example, say that they were imported into AMP5 and you give the specific version of the software you're using, right?
Correct.
And then you list the techniques. You use the unroll tool
Yes.
to convert the camera's fisheye lens to a standard panoramic video.
Yes.
It was then flipped horizontally and vertically for easier viewing.
Yes.
Aspect ratio was calibrated based on a near perfect circle of the vehicle's tire, right?
Yes.
And that's, I guess, the vehicle's tire as measured on the camera, not actually knowing the diameter of the vehicle's tire and scaling it.
Correct. This is, yes.
Okay. As far as the El Potosino videos are concerned, the parking lot videos, you indicated that you enlarged the image, right?
I would have to read it. I know the El Potosino cameras were DVR screen recorded due to them coming from a proprietary player. But
I see.
Yes.
I see. So, and that fact that they were DVR screen recorded, that limits the amount of information that you have to adjust, right?
So that proprietary player did not include an export function. So therefore, and it also would not convert the associated files. So the last resort was to screen capture the proprietary player using the DVR screen capture function.
But that does limit the amount of information that you have to work with, right?
They aren't designed, proprietary players aren't designed. They vary greatly in functionality. So no, sir, they are not allowed, they aren't meant for forensic analysis and they can limit the process.
So for example, you note here that lossy compression, which is part of the process you used on the Potosino parking lot camera, lossy compression discards important information which cannot be restored, right?
Correct, but I did not use lossy compression.
Uh-oh.
More enhancements were not possible due to insufficient pixel detail, distance, and compression of the videos. Are you sure you didn't use lossy compression?
That states more enhancements were not possible due to lossy compression, insufficient pixel detail. So the DVR screen capture was done in a lossless manner. That is where all information is retained and no information is lost. I'm saying that more enhancements could not be done due to lossy compression, which discards important information in order to save file space, storage space.
Okay. So I guess what I'm saying is the way that's written makes it sound like because of the process that was put upon it, you couldn't get additional information out of the image. Is that right?
Yes, prior to my enhancements, these videos, I can't create new information. I can only work with the information that is there. So prior to me restoring or enhancing these videos, those videos were already compressed. Compression is a common process in video.
Okay. So, thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, when that's printed, we would like to have that entered in for the record, but I think for the purposes of our objection, I'm ready to just make the full objection.
Oh, do you have any more questions for the witness? Do you have any more questions of the witness?
I'm passing the witness.
All right, any questions, State?
That was fine.
All right, brief argument.
Your Honor, it doesn't meet Dr. Kelly or 702. The witness is
They got the printer going in the
under an
background too.
entity which is a standalone private entity. It's not a governmental one. She is not aware of any oversight entities that it is affiliated with that accredit it or engage in peer review of its published literature. There's been no testimony that establishes that the software that's used by this particular company is any different in the way that it operates than just what any individual of the general public would be able to use.
That's fair.
She's unable to identify any specific scientific methods that are, not methods, but scientific principles that are at issue in the way that her work is conducted. She's not able to identify the way in which what she uses with this software is correctly applying those scientific principles, and she's not able to attest that any specific methodology that she hasn't identified was applied correctly on the occasion in question. Those are all 3 prongs of the Dr. Kelly test. And we have to be very careful here because what we're talking about is something that fundamentally does alter the actual pixels of a still or moving image, which is a matter of subjective judgment both by the operator and by the program that was written by someone unaffiliated with this organization as to how much change to give at any particular moment in time.
That's fair.
I think that
he
under
makes some
Dr.
good
Kelly,
points.
it would have a tendency to confuse and mislead the jury. It is invalid scientific evidence, and that this testimony should be excluded.
I don't think the Judge Boy is going to leave it out
Yes,
though.
Your Honor, the state's position is it does fit the underlying scientific theory. It is valid that it is a field, and it does take the applying of the this technique is valid, and it's been properly applied in this case because she's obviously stated that this does not change the image. She doesn't add nor take away. It's just an enhanced version of this image. And the underlying...
There's a noise.
Probably has to do with the final formula.
Does somebody hear that? Oh. Okay, all right.
I just
You
don't...
may continue.
Okay, sorry, and in this particular thing, she is trained. She's spoken about her background, her education, and then also her training. She has over 176 hours in the field and 124 related specifically to video. And she also has worked on over 260 cases. So due to this experience, she should be certified as a video enhancement expert.
All I would say, Judge, is I still have not heard what the scientific theory applicable is. And I still have not heard what exactly her field is encompassed by. I think that what we're talking about here is someone who I'm sure is very skilled in using digital.
A lot of y'all are saying she took a Photoshop class. That's dirty, man. Y'all are doing this lady dirty. Again, boy, this is a tough argument. And I love that we're getting to see this back and forth. Hopefully y'all are enjoying this too, because it really gets down to breaking down what an expert is. And just because someone took a Photoshop class and they've been making thumbnails on YouTube, I'm taking shots on myself on YouTube for however many years, does that make them an expert? And has she maybe altered the image? This is really, really good.
Photo and video editing
Hopefully
software.
y'all are enjoying this.
And I don't doubt that she knows how to
Very
use that
interesting.
equipment. I'm just saying there's no way that you can adjust an image with those kinds of software without changing it. And that she would not be the person who would ever know whether the changes that she's making are destroying, altering, or adding data
That's a great
to
point.
the image that was not previously there or that cannot ever be recovered. She can't know that because she's not the person who designed the programs that make these changes. She can say that she did them and that she did them the way that she was trained. And we're not saying that there's anything improper about her decision making. We're just saying it's a subjective discipline that isn't not scientific, and that it is driven by a law enforcement request. It isn't as though a scientist is saying, ooh, this image is problematic in some objective way that relates to the way in which the image cell operated or the film was exposed. We're saying that the reason why this process must be put upon it is because a policeman or a prosecutor asked it to be done.
All right, thank you.
And Your Honor, if we may, 2 things. One, this is the problem with AI, with how she receives this. Maybe someday we will all be able to say this works, but I don't think there's a proper foundation for that in this case, and we could spend weeks here litigating whether the AI is meaningful, appropriate, All we know is the name of the AI. And if we were going to go through lunch with the witness, may I let my wife know who's waiting downstairs,
Yes.
and let Father Rufus and Lexi and Eddie from my office
Yes.
go to St. Mary's, and I will remain here with them.
Thank you. All right, the court is going to find that the witness is an expert in the field of video enhancement based upon the training, the certification, and the work in the field.
Hey.
For the jury.
All rise for the jury.
All right, all that for the judge to stay. She's staying. I mean, the defense put up a fight in that one. And that was, hopefully y'all found that interesting as much as I did. I mean, wow. So all that for the judge to say they're going to keep her in. She's an expert. She can comment on it. Photoshop classes are paying off. Shout out to her. Y'all let me know what you think about this in the comment in the chat. I think we're going to review some more of this going into tomorrow afternoon. We'll actually get to hear her testimony. So y'all make sure you stick around for that. If you haven't yet, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time that we go live or drop a new video. And then shout out to my dog, Mr. Brown up in here. He dropped a 5 bomb showing some love, man. Mr. Brown, you know, we're still praying for you. Hopefully you're having a speedy recovery, and glad to see you hanging out in the chat as well, my friend. Y'all have a great rest of your day. You know what to do as always. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone, y'all. Peace.